Over the years, the many years of Santa's visits to our house, we have asked many different things from the spirit of giving. There were those early years when Santa's visits were filled with so much generosity, our kids were essentially stupefied at the spectacle that lay before them on Christmas morning. Those were the years when we had to pull our children away from enjoying one fabulous gift in order to unwrap and enjoy the next fabulous gift. Stop playing with those cool Legos and get a move on. You got a whole pile of packages to get through. Sometimes overwhelming generosity can be almost confusing to children. Then there were the years when the spirit of giving we call Santa at our house brought a gift that was what one of our kids really wanted, but was almost afraid to ask for because, well, you know, it's almost even too much to hope for. Those are the gifts like the ones from the Christmas Story movie, the Red Ryder BB gun, that is too wonderful even to imagine receiving. Those are the gifts that often present themselves when one or both parents say something like, "Ah, what a great Christmas. Oh wait, I think I see one more gift behind the tree. Johnny, would you go look?" And the response to gifts like these, "How did you know?" Our Santa has gone through those years, like maybe yours has too, when he was asked to follow the suggestions that we gave him in the form of a Christmas list that were very detailed suggestions, down to the size, the color, the make, and the model. And then there were those years, you all may be familiar with these years, when Santa was asked to keep up with the most recent technology. The latest version of the gaming system, from Atari to Nintendo to Sega to PlayStation, from Game Boy to Game Gear, from video games we played all by ourselves in our homes to the ones that we play online with our entire circle of friends. Phones, and more phones. There are those years when we ask Santa not only to be generous, but also to be tech savvy, to keep up with the very latest electronic trends. After all, there is no disappointment quite like the disappointment of getting almost what we really wanted, but not quite. Wanting to be gracious and grateful when it isn't quite the right gift is a tough but important lesson that most all of us have probably learned around Christmas time. But on those occasions when Santa gets it right, it's just fabulous. Suffice it to say that in most homes, Santa has to evolve and change with the times as family grow and change. And I mention that tonight because I believe it's also true that our image of God has evolved over time as well. And that the God revealed in Luke's story of the Nativity that we just heard is the one that we most desperately need. In a book called The Great Spiritual Migration, Brian McLaren calls this version of God, this latest version, the one the world needs so badly, the one that the world needs because we live in such divisive and hateful and tribal times. He calls this version of God, God 5.0. He suggests that once upon a time we all believed in God 1.0. And that was just fine. God 1.0 is the God whose job it is to come when He is called, to clean up our messes, to grant our requests, to kiss our scrapes and bruises, to make up us as happy as possible, as often as possible. Essentially, God 1.0 is all about us. It's how we learn that we matter in the world. Then comes the first upgrade to God 2.0. In this version of God, we still see the divine as the one who is to be at our beck and call. Please help me. But this God calls us to go beyond our basic selfishness to occasional acts of generosity. This is the God who smiles when we drop $1 in the Salvation Army bucket. And when we buy an extra toy while we're out shopping to give to one of those kids who lives over at the Catonsville Children's Home, God 2.0 is the God of a transformed Ebenezer Scrooge. God 2.0 helps us see those around us as worth our attention. Quite an upgrade to the God who is all about giving us what we want. Then comes the next upgrade, and that's God 3.0. This is the God we begin to understand when we get a little older and realize that for life to go smoothly, there are rules that we must all try to follow. God 3.0 is the God of moral authority, the God that develops our sense of right and wrong. When we're playing a hotly contested game of putt-putt golf while we're down the ocean, and we happen to be the one keeping score, God 3.0 is the God who whispers in our ear, reminding us that we got a 4 and not a 2. God 3.0 is especially involved in our decision making, urging us to do the right thing, even when the wrong thing won't really matter to anyone all that much. God 3.0 is very important when it comes to the world functioning the way it should. In fact, God 3.0 is the God of the mighty should. The mighty should. The impartial judge. So there isn't much joy in God 3.0, and so to fix that problem, behold the update to God 4.0. If God 3.0 urges us to answer the question, what should I do? God 4.0 asks us a different question, which is, what can I do? We know that the God 4.0 download is complete in our system when we find the capacity to feel joy in the happiness of others. God 4.0 is that God that makes it the most natural thing in the world for a daughter to give her father one of her 2 kidneys without even blinking an eye. God 4.0 smiles from ear to ear when she sees all those parents holding up their phones in the air at the Christmas program, and laughs out loud when those same parents become grandparents who make absolutely sure they are in the room on Christmas morning just to behold the joy. Couples should not get married until they have downloaded God 4.0. People probably shouldn't have children until they have downloaded God 4.0. Because the one who understands God 4.0 is the one who finds joy in sacrifice and is willing to forgive. That's a significant upgrade. But these days, God 4.0 isn't even quite enough. And so, introducing on Christmas Eve 2017, the latest version of God, the version that may be the most important upgrade of them all, the version of God we see in Luke's story of the Nativity, and the version I urge us to download as God 5.0, who is the God not just of us, but also of them. When we can delight in the faith traditions and the lived experience of people who are substantially different than we are, that is God 5.0. Luke's story of the Nativity is filled with the thems of the world. Joseph was a lonely carpenter, which in those days was about the same as being unemployed. He was one of those guys who stands at the Home Depot waiting for work each morning. The town of Bethlehem might have once been a royal city, but like a lot of places in our beloved city, it has fallen upon hard times and was filled with those people in the days that Jesus was born. Mary and Joseph were engaged, but you know what? She was already with child, which is still a little scandalous now, and was really scandalous back then, and was something that happened only to, you know, those people. Saying someone was a shepherd back in those days was kind of like saying they were homeless, almost invisible, the ones who would walk up to your camel and ask if it wanted a drink, and then offer and ask for some spare change. And they were certainly not the ones you want to come anywhere near your firstborn child. They smelled like sheep. And the baby was born in the first century equivalent of a vacant row home in Baltimore City, which only had electricity because someone had stretched an extension cord from the house next door. Those people, them, the others. The story we love to tell from Luke is a story that is filled with people that none of us would ever want to be around. It's a story that asks us to embrace them, which is just the way Luke wanted it to read. Because Luke is a them kind of gospel, and Jesus is a them kind of Savior. And so tonight, through this story, Luke is urging us to go beyond loving those who are like us, loving those who are of our tribe, important as that is. Luke is urging us tonight to go beyond sacrificing for those who are near to us. Tonight, Luke is urging us to go even beyond forgiving those who are already dear to us, important as that is. With this beautiful story, Luke is urging us to move beyond God 4.0 and to install in His place this newer and much better version, personified by Jesus of Galilee, who from His beginning through His life urges us to reach out to all of the thems of the world for the love of God. And there may never be a more important time for us to do just that. Amen.